Hello,
Hello.
welcome to the Baudelaire Book Club. I'm Odie,
I'm Kale.
and this is episode number 8, The Hostile Hospital.
hmm
And I hope you enjoy this book club review because it's the book club where the books are sad and the baddies are bad. Let's get into it. Kale, what do we read?
Yep. Summary.
Mm-hmm.
So this is book 8. So if you're jumping in right now, I suggest maybe watching some of our other book clubs to have a little bit of context. So the orphans, Violet, Klaus, and Sunny manage to escape the village of VFD and find themselves at the Last Chance General Store. They send a telegram to Mr. Poe, but before they can get a response from him, uh, they are chased out of the store because of their reputation as murderers. They end up joining a they end up getting into a van of volunteers, the volunteers fighting disease, who believe that no news is good news so strongly that they haven't read the paper and they refuse to. So they are unaware the Baudelaire's alleged crimes. The orphans in VFD go to Heimlich Hospital, a building that is only half built. Um, so while the volunteers fighting disease go off to sing to sick patients, the Baudelaire orphans volunteer to help out in the Library of Records, where they meet the librarian Hal and they learn of the Snicket files, a document that supposedly contains information about them. Um, so the orphans spend the night in the unfinished wing of a hospital, and they try to read the Quagmire notebooks that they had from last book, and they don't gain a lot of information from that. The next night, they steal the librarian's keys and they break into the library after hours and they find the Snicket files, which have been completely removed except for one page, the last page, page 13. Um, as they're breaking into the library, Esme Squalor also manages to break in, and she is also there to steal the Snicket file. Klaus and Sunny manage to escape with the page 13 of the Snicket file, but Violet is trapped and kidnapped by Esme Squalor. Count Olaf, posing as the hospital's head of human resources, announces that the hospital will be performing a craniolectomy on a 14-year-old girl, who we know is Violet. So Klaus and Sunny manage to find out where Violet is, and they disguise themselves as Count Olaf's associates to help with the surgery. Really, they manage to stall for long enough that they escape with Violet, but the hospital has been set on fire. So they are in the middle of a burning building being chased by the entire hospital staff. And they're quite literally trapped in a storage closet with nowhere else to go. But Violet wakes up from the anesthesia enough to help them escape, and with nowhere else to go, they climb into the trunk of Count Olaf's car, and that's where the book ends.
Which is just a lot of action, to be honest.
A lot going on.
This book was I remember when we talked about it yesterday. Like, I think the first thing I said was, so like I don't got a lot of notes because like what happened is what happened. Like it's just like they survived. This was kind of their first real foray into doing it like while owning that they're on their own.
Right. It's very different, like a different formula than the one we've had so far, where they like go to a new guardian, Count Olaf shows up, someone dies and they escape, or whatever. Chaos ensues. This is a very different take on that formula where there is no guardian and they have to like fend for themselves a lot, and they have nowhere to go. They have to find their own housing, their own food, their own like shelter. It's crazy.
It really starts to like it just keeps reinforcing the point that you had made all those videos ago where like it was right around like after Vile Village is where the whole series flips and like The hostile
Yeah.
hospital really follows through on it with like
Mm-hmm.
every point that you made is perfect. Like I yeah. You got it. Like I yeah, we had
I know
a
what
lot
I'm
of
talking
fun
about.
notes. Yeah, shit, you're right. Damn,
Those
my
jokes are gonna
bad.
get you
There's no way of
all of
free
the
gasoline in this
bitches.
economy. So like the book opens with like the
Hey
general
Ishtar, thank you so
advising, like
much for
I give away
resubscribing for
free
20 months.
gasoline to the volunteers because I like so strongly believe in what they're doing. And it's
Hmm.
like, can you fucking imagine to
Like
a to a bus with shitty gas mileage?
like the only thing that I could think of was that this book was from like
2001.
yeah, is it from 2001?
2001.
September 2001.
9/11 book.
This
Those
book could have come out before 9/11. Is the
That's
thing.
insane. And that means all of the other books are pre 9/11 too.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
when did that come out? Like yeah, like
But
it's so interesting because like it doesn't really make a difference, but like that would explain a lot. Like yeah, like in the time, not in our America, not in our country, giving like gas for free. Get your ass
yeah,
beat with some shit like that.
it just says 2001.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh well, we win some, we lose some. It's okay. What else do we have? But yeah, it was very odd that there's no like recording or written down. Like he's just like, I just give it away. 'Cause I don't know where how that store owner makes any money.
Right, he gave away a lot of shit.
Right? Like is he just like he just gave everything away?
It orphans because they were like, we have no money and we're children. He was like, well, I'll help you out, kids. And then to the volunteers fighting disease, presumably any like adult that came through, he would charge full price. But
Ah. It also, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it too, like the adults that they did run into did give them the benefit of of the doubt. That like without any other information, they would have been believable as kids, and like they were getting all the help.
yeah,
A nice reminder of what they really are, despite what everyone says.
despite what they're going through and what they accomplish in these books.
Mm. Painful strife. As a kid, I never picked up on Heimlich Hospital because of like the Heimlich maneuver, which would have fucking helped as someone who like choked on a piece of food home alone like years after reading these books and like didn't think to Heimlich himself. Like I didn't even like register that I could do it to myself.
The way that you do the Heimlich maneuver on yourself is different than how you do it on another person. You have to do it against like the back of a chair, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I had to look it up. Like and I guess like the big thing is like if you're worried about breaking a rib, would you rather have a broken rib or be dead? Like,
Right.
go for it. Like so
Or ham.
yeah, it's pork chop in this case, but yeah. So I just thought it was really funny in hindsight. Like, I wonder if I would have looked that up if like I knew it was the Heimlich maneuver, but I just knew that was a thing. Like I didn't ever like know more about it, so that was a good observation. This was a note that we both had.
I thought it was funny that they have the Cathedral of the Alleged Virgin, which I think is very funny. A very funny way to talk about Miss Mary.
It's a much more like honest take on it. Like like literal like this is the case. This is interesting. It made me wonder like I wonder what Lemony Snicket or like the author's like background is because I'm like, ooh,
Right.
what is he doing here? Like that's a very funny take to make that I don't think kids would pick up. But
And I guess I didn't when I was a kid, or at least I didn't remember it, even though I grew up Catholic and like very religious.
the Cathedral of the Alleged Virgin, you're just like, okay, yeah, that sounds right. All right, that's a little weird, but
I was like, sure, there's lots of words in these books.
I'm reading some of them, and hopefully, hopefully, I'm getting some there.
I'm reading enough of them.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
this line, when I first read this line, it made me want to jump out a fucking window. It it triggered me genuinely because like this is shit my biological father would say to me growing up, where he was
Mm.
like, kids should be seen and not heard.
Oh
And
yeah,
oh boy,
that is
very
some
upsetting.
shit. Yeah,
Hmm.
like that type of attitude, that type of just.
And
Ugh.
it's like, yeah, you have to be down here at like the Christmas party or the barbecue or whatever. You can't talk to anyone. You can't have fun. You just have to be down here. Mm,
I don't know
very
about all
upsetting.
that. Yeah,
I don't know
fuck
about all
that.
that.
I think the kids like also realize that like I think like what's really cool is the kids do like they start thinking critically at this point as well, like more so than they have. Where like
Hmm.
oh children should be seen not heard. It's like fuck it, we could use that to our advantage.
Yeah.
Like then people aren't good. Like they're not gonna know. We have nothing to worry about.
And maybe I'm making this up. I feel like that comes back later in the books when they're like, well, children should be seen, not heard, so we're just not going to say anything.
Maybe
I don't remember that.
that sounds familiar. I think that gets them out of a jam,
I think so too. But like
a
so many of
scuffle.
my memories of the books from like this point out are like very vague, where it's like I remember Grove Grotto happened, couldn't tell you a damn thing that takes place in that book, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I got a couple details from each book, and that's if I'm lucky.
It's mm-hmm.
Like Grim Grotto, all I can think about is mycelium. That's it, because it
Mm-hmm.
was a very fun part of the book. Otherwise, eh. Okay.
The Snicket
Ugh. The
file.
Snicket file. We get lore. We get a single crumb of lore in this book, and I gotta tell you, it leaves a lot to be
Two crumbs of
desired.
lore.
But it's is it two?
2 crumbs of lore.
Two
Two crumbs.
crumbs.
2 crumbs of lore.
Two crumbs.
This is what I have to tell you. But yeah, the Snicket file. I don't again, I don't fucking remember anything about the Snicket files. I I do remember who they're referring to when they say someone uh so basically all the information that the Snicket file has is that it says like experts now believe someone may have survived the fire. And it doesn't and like the Baudelaires take that to mean that one of their parents survived. But there's
Oh,
like very sparse information on it.
and also I wonder if the fire doesn't necessarily mean it's their parents' fire,
Hmm.
right?
Well, I
Like,
remember what happened, so I won't
oh,
spoil it for
okay,
you.
interesting. Well, then, I don't know, so I'm like, ooh, that's what I'm thinking. Is like that's been a very common theme that like time like they'll kids will get the timing wrong, like that fires have
Right.
been around for a long time and that like they may I don't
It's
remember, but
and it's like there's so
I
many
have to.
fucking fires in these books. Just fucking everything's on fire. The hospital's on fire, for God's sakes.
Yes, it is. Were you able to do this one? I didn't mean to hit enter
Say
so
that?
fast. The systematically
No.
assisting Sisyphus' stealthy susceptible sister.
No.
Oh, well, I couldn't, and I didn't know till then.
Okay.
So,
Proud of you.
thank you. You can't do it.
Not fast.
Well,
Systematically assisting Sisyphus's. What does that say? Stealthy
susceptible.
susceptible sister.
Mhm.
I said it slow.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay. Because that's what you're getting.
That yeah. Well, that's all I'm letting you know. Like, hey, like if I take it or leave it, like you've given it regardless. So
Yep.
I got you. I got you, bro. I got you. Tell me about Olaf.
I like that Olaf is such a narcissist that he has to have his name on fucking everything, and that is like eventually his undoing, where it's like Alfunkut, Flacatono, those are all like anagrams of Olaf, and like he's just like, well, I'll just put my name on it. I don't need to
Like
come up with a name. I have a name.
he reuses them, which I think may be his real undoing, right? Because he's.
Right. Very funny.
What's your favorite of his names?
I don't know. Flacatono, I think, is the one that I remember the most. And I think that has a very nice like it feels satisfying to say.
It's the good one. I'll agree with you on that one. Like Yeah, Flakutono. I think it's the one that I probably would have had a harder time recognizing right away.
Hmm.
And I definitely didn't pick up on it as a kid, but like, ooh wee, that one sounds
Maybe.
nice. Unbursted.
Hmm.
He's the like Olaf is so. I'll go into it more on our discussion tab with like going into his crew, but I just want to touch on like we get to see kind of like we kind of get to spy on Count Olaf and his troop in this one a little bit by nature
Yeah.
of how they're hiding.
And it like we'll get to it, but like the dynamic flips where the orphans are the ones like they know.
Yeah, they're starting to like they're getting confirmation on things they always thought, and like we're starting to see the process, and like it really does feel like Count Olaf thinks of a single plan that's like the bad idea is the right idea because like the bad idea is the easiest idea start to finish. Like if we just cut off Violet's head, then we'll have to pick one of the two kids, and then we only
Right.
need one kid alive.
It's like we can put Violet in danger and capture all three of them that way because they will come to save their sister, and then we can decide who lives, who dies.
Part of me was just thinking, I'm like, why doesn't he just like kill them? And it's like, well, because like he can't be suspected either. So I think that's why like the whole elaborate
Right.
cranioctomy or whatever was
It's like
plausible
if you
deniability.
murder someone to get their inheritance, it, like that's illegal. So it's like you have to. I think the idea is like you have to. His idea is, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
um,
It's okay.
Olaf's idea is that you have to. He has to be one of the kids' guardians. He has to be the guardian, and then when the kid comes of age, he can force them to give him the fortune. Something
Ah,
like
yeah,
that.
basically just like chained up and kidnapped, kept barely alive,
Right.
and then the moment that like you're able to get the money, it's gone, and you're dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Probably would also just need something to get like Klaus to sign something, for example, that says that he
Right.
gives it all to Count Olaf once he receives it, and then like
And then you're
doesn't need
dead.
to be in person, and then he gets killed. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he hasn't thought of that, but I mean, after Vile Village with his like hot detective Dupont,
Yeah.
like I'm just
Dupin.
like, dude, he's just the Rizzler. Like he just
Yeah. Count Olaf is like the kind of like sleazy character who like fucks wealthy older women and then just like steals their shit. You know what I mean? He's like that kind of character.
oh yeah, like and like there's part of you that's like, oh, is he finally gonna change his ways? And it's like, no, he doubles down. Like you were a fool for believing him. He never once lied. Like or
Yeah,
like he never told the truth.
he's well, it's more like he's been very clear about what he's into from the start. He's never made any kind of like preconceptions about like not being sorry. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Um, but like you know he's greedy from the start. And
Mhm.
it's like everybody knows that.
Yeah, they all like everybody knows like he's the skeezler. Like you know what you're getting. Like it's what he says on the box. Like sometimes toxic animals have warning signs, and like him is
Mm-hmm.
just his existence. So I feel that mm,
So butterflies in your there's a part of this book where he talks about the phrase like butterflies in your stomach, and he talks about a guy who like swallowed butterflies and they lived in his stomach for a while. And while I'm not the biggest fan of butterflies, I fucking love moths. So let's talk about how many moths I'm wearing right now. I wonder if I
that's
can zoom in a little
four
bit.
confirmed.
Oh, you can't see that at all.
Oh no, I can. I
That's
can.
like
Let me
moths.
fix it for you.
Okay.
Okay,
Look
now
at
they
my
can see.
moths, everybody. They're so pretty.
Do you
I
guys
love
like those
moths so
moths?
much.
Tell Kale how much you love their moths. I need
Have
an
a
emote
big
of me with a
moth
gun mode.
tote bag. I have a moth shirt. I love a good moth.
Freaking love bats.
Love bats. I've got bats up here too, but they're not as important to me.
That's the moths. The creatures of night that are attracted to light.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're nifty. I think they're cute. I think they deserve just as much love as butterflies, if not more.
Based. Hot take. Hot take.
I love Luna moths. Those are my earrings. These are
Ooh.
Luna moths.
Moontiful.
Okay, that's all about the butterflies in the stomach.
Okay.
I'm talking about my moths.
That's funny. This book makes me so fucking anxious. I felt like this too. How did you be?
I was like sweating. I was listening to the so like the part where like Klaus is just like stalling for time and he's like, here's the entire history of the knife.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rust. And he's like trying to say Violet. It made my heart fucking like pound. It made me so anxious. I hated it, but it was good.
They really make you forget that like they survive. Like I've already finished the series, but in the moments when you're reading it, like I almost couldn't put it down. Like because those chapters are going by so quick at that point because like it's very Wide Window-esque where the action's all there.
I had to like put it down and I was like, I can't.
Oh really?
But,
interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, I have to finish this for book club. And I did finish it for book club.
Hell yeah. You put that right down because you had to know right there. Thank you, Katie. I did tell Katie it wasn't a sidebar because you snuck in an extra entree with the butterflies in your stomach. Well, you put it on the notes. If you put it on the notes, we get to talk about it. So, like...
Right. I put it on the notes. We talked about shit I put on the notes, too.
Yeah. Like, it's more of like, this is just so that we know that, like, okay, as long as we hit these, that this is the minimum. Everything else is gravy.
These are our little discussion points.
Our little discussion points. The Sugar Bowl. Okay. So, in this book, we get some direct reference to the Sugar Bowl. If you've read ahead or have read the books before, the Sugar Bowl is an incident. It is a physical object. It is metaphorical. It is not the Sugar Bowl itself that's important, but rather what's inside it.
Right, but everybody wants this fucking sugar bowl.
And it's basically what has caused the biggest schism in VFD.
Right. And I want to say, like, from this point on in the books, like, the Sugar Bowl, at least to Esme, becomes, like, way more important than, like, stealing the Baudelaire fortune.
Yeah, I agree. Which I think has been consistent with her, though. Like, I think once she dropped, like, she herself, like, is about the fortune because, like, these next couple things are easy. But, like, yeah, she is angry about the Sugar Bowl and, like, like, in the last book, how they mentioned that, like, it was a side objective to kill Jacques, like, makes me feel like, yeah, like, Count Olaf's primary goal is that. But also, if they can clean up anything with the Sugar Bowl, like, Count Olaf is doing that as well, or is helping with that in whatever capacity. So it's always really interesting.
To me, it feels like Esme is going after the Baudelaires to get the Sugar Bowl back. And Olaf is, like, pursuing the Sugar Bowl along with the orphans. You know what I mean?
Like, it may be...
Renesmee again? God damn it.
Oh, Renesmee? Maybe.
Can we call her Renesmee again?
Ugh.
I've been rereading Twilight. Whoops.
Mood.
Whoops.
I guess real quick, just in case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about. So at some point, like, Lemony mentions how, like, there was an altercation about a Sugar Bowl. Like, if it sounds like we're talking about, like, what your grandma had on the table, that's what we're talking about. Or at least that's what it's understood. Like, they only mention it in one-off lines. They're in Lemony's lines where he never gets to finish a thought with those. Those always get cut off.
The metatextual stuff.
Yeah, the secret lore.
The
And
story that's being told in addition to the story.
like in an essence, figuring out what the sugar bowl was and why it's really important, like a definitive answer is like kind of the point of this.
Give me 2 seconds. Penny's scratching at my door.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just pause it.
Get back to it now.
All right, so we're back in it. Callisto had said that one's going to do numbers. Write that down, boss. So the book club where the books are sad and
The baddies are bad.
and the baddies are bad is good. So you got to do it next time so I don't say it poorly.
Fine. Okay.
Do you want to do a practice one? I can pause the recording right now.
No, I don't want to do it. Hold on, Penny. Your background noise. I'm sorry.
Okay, no
I
worries.
apologize.
Oh, okay, you're glitching a little.
Oh no.
Let me... Okay, I think we're good now. Okay. We are fine. So, sugar bowl.
The sugar bowl. And so it's never really revealed, at least to what I remember, what the sugar bowl is, or like what is in it, rather. So like that is like one of the biggest mysteries at the center of this story is like why does everyone want the sugar bowl so much?
Yeah, like it's my working theory that like you know influenced by parts that I don't actively remember from the future books, but based on what I've read so far, is in some capacity the Baudelaires like Beatrice stole the sugar bowl from Esme, and that has like an effect on things. So
like, oh, I can see myself glitching. That's cute. In like this book, he's like, Lemonie's like, did I need to steal this sugar bowl from Esme? Which like implies that he was the one who did it. Very interesting.
Interesting. Ooh. Wonder what that means. Oh, you're like glitching really bad. Did you try turning off your video, turning it back on?
Yeah.
It's because we talked about the sugar bowl. We're not supposed to.
Because we mentioned the sugar bowl.
We got some arsonists on our trail. Oh no. Ooh, I'm sweating. Is that fire? No. I would never count Olaf is great. And he's dead. So I don't know why anyone would want to like worry about him. Ha 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 ha. All right. Hell yeah. Ooh, no news is good news in medical practices was something you had wanted to discuss.
Yeah, so I have chronic pain. We don't really need to get into it, but that is something that I deal with. So I see a doctor like once a month, if I'm lucky. Usually it's a couple times a month I'm seeing different doctors. And the way that doctors will have you run like 16 tests and then they all come back negative and they're like, well, that's good. And it's like, it is not good. I would much rather know what's wrong with me and have like a course of action to move forward on than to be back at square one, basically.
Yeah, like that's got to be frustrating. Are you having to do the thing too where like every time you see a new doctor they have to do all the preliminary stuff again, so it's like we're doing a whole lot of stuff to confirm that it's still none of those things, and like
it's a whole lot of stuff to confirm that I'm not fucking lying about like my chronic pain. And it's like, you know, I've been to like 4 fucking doctors. I would not be here if I was making it up. I'm not doing this for fun.
like anyone who would like want to like anyone who's faking chronic pain doesn't know what it's like to have chronic pain. Like as someone who doesn't have chronic pain, I can only imagine like when I've had long aches that it's like that all the time.
Basically. But like, so like that was another thing where I was like, this book fucks with me.
God, that whole adage and like the no news is good news, which you think would help with the volunteers in the book. Like they're like, oh, the volunteers will be helpful, and it's like, All they do is they just sing songs, and when they're visiting
Right.
these people on their beds, like they're just refusing to help them like get a nurse or get water. They're just singing them songs.
And it's like another thing where it's like laughter's the best medicine. The best thing you can do is have a positive attitude. And it's like the best thing I could do is be treated for why I'm sick. You know what I mean? Like I can be happy and sick, or I can just be like healthy, and that'll like improve my quality of life.
Yeah,
For
like
me, you know.
hey, like I understand it's important to be positive and to be happy. Like that'll help with your recovery and like ultimately like you're gonna move past this. That's great, but like there are more immediate actionable things than changing my attitude that will help me. One of those is grabbing a nurse because I'm hurting. Like that
Yeah,
would actually help me.
literally. Like one of the people is like, "Well, I just need like a glass of water," and they're like, "We can't do that for you. We're not
No,
doctors.
no, we're not. I don't know if that's what you
We're
would
just here to
mean.
sing." Mm-hmm.
And their song's not even that good.
It sucks, and they only have one.
And they're like, we just do whatever. We just let you in. Okay, because they on the damn phone. You're
Yeah,
right.
I was on that damn phone, that 2001 phone.
You could tell it. You could tell it was before 9/11 by the way that they just got into a stranger's van, no questions asked.
Right. This is
Jesus.
before they invented child abduction.
Child abduction was made up in post 9/11 Bush's America as a
Yeah.
psyop to counter.
Yeah. Me and the homies waiting for the drop of child abduction in 2015.
Hey yo, I was on that Coney 2012 beta release. Ooh, or
Wow,
the
that's so cool.
I did Silent Children back in the day with my youth group.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I was in the alpha on that one. Shit, ugh. Not ugh, but just the church part of it sucked. Anywho,
I know.
no news is
Yeah.
good news. You understand.
I'm so throughout like this book and like book one basically is where it happened. The hook-handed man specifically is just like Violet's really pretty. Yeah, she's a looker. Yeah, she's so pretty. I'd love to get my hands on her. And it's like, you need to shut up. That's a 14-year-old child. It makes me so uncomfy.
They are very like they're very aggressive and
Like
I
the
didn't
hook-handed
realize how
man
predatory it was as a kid, but like reading it this
just
time I
like
picked up on it. Like this guy like sounds like he's
she
trying to
like full
like
on has a crush on her and it's gross and no one's doing anything to stop it. And it's like Olaf to an extent was like that, but this is like persistent in a different kind of way.
mm-hmm.
Makes me uncomfy.
It's
I don't like it.
I don't get it. Like they're just I mean like I get it. Like the whole point is that like they're despicable. Like I don't bash the writer for doing it, but it is just like
Right.
it's still
I
very uncomfy and I think that in a
even
way he could have highlighted it more by calling it out. I think would have been a better lesson if we modernized the book a little bit. Like that behavior needs to be called out. But
yeah, where it's like even if your friends are a bunch of murderers, like I don't know, man. Call out your friend who's weird about kids.
yeah, like it doesn't matter what you did to get you in prison. At least you ain't a Chester, as my dad would put it. Yeah, oh yeah. Like my dad's real brutal because he's like, yeah, you do that, you're done. You get beaten
Yeah.
up and killed in prison, and I'm just like,
Well,
that's great, Dad. We're at KFC and I'm 9, so like that's great. I remember that conversation. Like he also told me that I was an alien and that he picked me up. He found me in a cabbage patch. Actually,
Cabbage Patch Kid? That's so cool.
yeah, he found me in a big like thing of cabbage. Like he said, like I was an alien. They found me, and like I just find that really funny that like I've remembered that twice recently, but I haven't remembered it in years. But this did, so cool.
Interested.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, like no, why you should call that shit out? Like, hey, that's a really weird comment you're making about a child. Like,
Yeah. And ugh.
I'm like,
Ugh.
you are aware that she's 14, so like you can't
Yeah.
even.
You know she's 14. You know that she's a minor.
You were told she was 14, and you did not change your behavior, which immediately made you go from oof, a mistake to worse, a choice.
Yeah. And it's like you can tell the
Hands.
difference between like a late like a young adult woman who's like maybe like 18, 19, and a 14-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do understand what you mean. There is a clear difference.
Like there's no way he's ever had like the misconception that she's just like a short woman. He knows. We all know.
She's actually quite tall from how they draw her and they talk about. I gotta be very serious and direct. I'm making my stance. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? It was just uncomfortable. He's weird.
Yeah. Great. Can't wait till he dies.
Just because there's weird things about you doesn't mean you gotta be like, you can be weird, doesn't mean you gotta be a weirdo. You know?
Yeah.
That's what's up. Penny, okay?
Yeah, I'm looking at her. She's being weird.
Oh.
Cause she's not laying in her bed and she's not lying in my bed.
Oh, so you're just like, what are you doing? And she's like, I don't know.
She's just having floor time, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I knew someone died from Count Olaf's like group of henchmen dies in the book after this, but I forgot that like the androgynous person just like presumably dies in this book. It's
Yeah.
not like shown on screen, but
They
like
leave them for dead.
they leave them for dead, and there's just no way we see them ever again in the books. So it's presumably they're dead.
The
And I
wiki
wanna talk
says
about
so.
how this-
Yeah.
The way that this kind of like mirrors the first like half of the books.
Oh, okay.
We're like kind of there's like a henchman and he helps Olaf, or they help Olaf with the plan, because it's the hook-handed man, the bald man, the pale-faced woman, and the androgynous person. So
And then
it's
Esme.
mix
Yeah.
of gender, and Esme. We'll get to Esme.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like they were introduced one by one and now they're being killed off one by one. I think that's interesting. I think that's cool.
Ooh, yeah. That's right. I even though we talked about it yesterday, I completely forgot about it. Because you're right. Like, it starts this trend of, like, they're having to deal with less and less. And it's almost as if once they decided to solve their own problems, they started to solve their own problems.
Their own problems. Yeah. I get you.
That's a really interesting, like, take on it. Ooh, interesting. Give me the chills. I think that's really cool. Like, I hadn't picked up on it. I had like forgotten about it as a kid because people
Yeah,
die
I
somewhat
definitely-
often.
I didn't pick up on it as a kid, but I'm picking up on it now.
And like they didn't even care, and then the kids just say, "Fuck it, we're going in the whatever." It's just so much, like kind of related because they're more or less like the same point. Like getting to see the troop and like because the kids, they basically pretend Klaus and Sunny pretend to be the white faced women or the pale faced women, and then are doing all their grandstanding and stuff. But like we get to like overhear how they're talking to each other, and like they really do talk to each other like they all got plans to hang out afterwards and stuff like that.
Right.
Like this is just like, but they also will absolutely leave each other for dead. Ooh, although I think Olaf left the troop for dead. I don't think the troop would leave Olaf for dead.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the vibe I got. They were like asking if they should wait, and he said no, right?
Yeah. I think you're right. That like Olaf is definitely like the boss, and therefore like he gets final say basically over their entire lives.
Yeah, it's so peculiar. Like they're so silly. Like it really would be kind of fun to see like a zany like retelling from all of their points of view, like the back end.
Yeah, it's like kind of comedic, but it's also like very dark. The way they just like so casually talk about like, let's just fucking kill these kids and get it over with, you know? I want Chinese food tonight.
Yeah, which like, what else do they do? They always got to be pulling schemes and doing shit. And like, I don't know. They just like all of it's so good, and like getting to start to see that like they have personality and they're not like it's almost like they start to like the kids are learning and they're realizing they're learning because adults tend to not learn. The only adult that's
Right.
learned is Olaf, which like he I think Olaf is aware of how smart the kids are. And
Hmm.
like he plays like he doesn't think they're like he lets them fool him. Like cuz he
Right.
also at one point was a member of VFD. Like he's not stupid.
Yeah. He's not stupid. And I think Olaf has like a hard time maybe getting the members of his like associates to understand the Baudelaire's intelligence. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Where it feels like he's almost like, don't underestimate these fucking kids. And they're like, well, they're just kids. And that's how they kind of like slip through his fingers
Yeah.
each time.
He manipulates people by talking that way, but like he doesn't act like he's choosing to do that, not that he believes that he should do that.
Right.
Like for him, it's a tactical decision that's like well trenched. It's really interesting to kind
It's
of put it
very
that way.
interesting. This book is very well written.
It's a really solid piece. Like I think in terms of like I don't really want to read it again, and there is
No,
not like the big juicy
makes me
lore.
very anxious.
It's super anxious. And the only lore we get is like the sugar bowl gets mentioned. That's it. Like that sentence. That's the whole thing. And then the
Sugar
Snicket
Bowl,
file.
Snicket file. That's it. We
It's a lot more
get
than we've
introduced to
gotten,
them in
but
right. We get introduced to them in this book so that they can be built upon later.
yeah. So it just that's the only part I don't like about it. I will say it's like, or
Hmm.
not that I don't like, but just is the only thing holding it back is that there's not a whole lot of like
It's
it
it's a
resets.
little unsatisfying
Mhm. But everything else it does is really really
on
good.
purpose.
Like it's a very solid book.
I'm interested to see where this book will rank when we eventually rank all 13 books. Not because I don't think it's good, but because I think all of the other books are just so good. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That this one might end up near the bottom just because it's not
As
super,
good.
super special.
There's just not as much to it. Like that, like I could see that, and like
Yeah.
I like because I think Bad Beginning is going to be number one, like the worst. Like it's something I
Right.
feel relatively confident in, but like that is
And
kind of a given.
I think Miserable Mill will also kind of be towards the bottom.
Like the favorites that we've had up to this point are going to need to be recontextualized now that the
Right.
nostalgia goggles have started to come off.
Right. As much as I want to rank Wide Window as my all-time favorite, again, uh, I don't know if
Well,
I don't know
see,
if
but
it'll
that's
hold.
two different. Those are two different metrics, though. Like that could still be your favorite, but this
It's
is a
still my
matter of
favorite. I
like
don't know if it's
best.
the best. Okay.
Yeah, different metrics. So it's like, well, we're considering different parts of it. Oh yeah.
Hmm. I still think Reptile Room holds up pretty well in
Mm-hmm. That'd be
the
that.
context of the 8 books that we've read so far. I still think it's one of the better ones.
I agree. Yeah, this would be that would probably be like a fun like end cap video after the end is to do like okay, we'll do another like
I think
final stream of it with like
yeah.
let's do or like to wrap up the Baudelaire book club specifically.
Hmm. I've got ideas for like an end cap kind of stream
Oh,
kind of thing.
perfect. I've also received a few ideas and I've come up with one and received one of possible future book club ideas. If
Ooh.
if you like doing it, because I have enjoyed this a lot. So
Okay.
a little weirdly analytical here, but more importantly, I don't know why I did that so loud, like I'm so dramatic. I was wondering if I had one more. Wild getting in the trunk, big brain idea. I never would have thought of
That's
it as a kid.
crazy that Violet's like, we have to get out of here. They're the only people leaving. We need to get in the trunk.
If they just fucking do it. Like, no
And
hesitation.
now they're just in the fucking trunk of this car. They're literally right under Olaf's nose, and it's crazy.
And like, pardon me, I'm trying to remember. Like, do they know that the kids are there? I can't remember in the carnival. I think they get away with it.
I think they get away with it.
It's like they learned from Olaf. Like, fuck it. We just play by their rules and like
Well, they bring that up in this book where it's like we're doing stuff that Olaf does. We're stealing, we're lying, we're like evading the law, and they have to like come to terms with like, well, it's different when we do it than when Olaf does it.
Which is like it's true, but that argument could be used on like it starts to add in the moral weight, I think, to ooh, that's a really good way of contextualizing that like you could do the same thing as someone else, but like it comes down to the actions that are done and the reasons leading like what actually happens.
And it's still like they're not as bad as Olaf. They've never murdered anybody, and like they're they're not stealing to because they're greedy and they want money. They're stealing because they're trying to like find evidence that they're innocent, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like it is different, but to like an outside observer, it might look the same.
If you boil it down on paper and you're just reporting the news, blah blah blah, like yeah, they're the worst. They've done everything apparently, even though that's not how it all happened. It doesn't matter. Like you can
Right.
never defeat the first impression, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's just so good,
It's so good.
so good.
Okay.
Orphan ranking time.
I might have a bit of a controversial. Hi, baby. Now she's laying in her bed.
Oh,
Just
hi
chat. Want to see
Penny.
my dog real quick?
You guys want to see Penny?
Let me see if I can get the whole setup.
Hi Penny. Oh, I love her.
I cannot hear you.
Hi Penny. She's so perfect.
On me.
Who you? Okay. Okay. So you got a controversial opinion.
Anyways, I think I have a controversial opinion. I'm gonna go with Klaus number 1, Violet number 2, Sunny number 3.
Ooh.
And I know that Violet spends most of this book unconscious and needing to be saved, but in my opinion, the fact that she got captured trying to save her siblings and um like that's so impressive to me. And then the fact that she was able to save her and her siblings again while she had just come out of or like not amnesia,
Anesthesia.
anesthetic. Yeah. That's so impressive and that's so incredible. But I do think Klaus takes the number 1 just because he did he was the one who had to like really step up this book and like save his sister, both of them, his sisters.
I couldn't agree more.
Sunny opened soup. So.
Yeah. Sunny was a baby this one, which in a lot of ways for them to recontextualize how they're moving forward, like they kind of needed a bit of a reset. Like
Right. And it's still very impressive to see how much Sunny has grown since
she uses a lot of words. She uses some real words this time.
She walks on her own.
Oh, I forgot about that because he was carrying her around.
He was carrying her around at some points, but like she does walk on her own at points in this book.
Well, that's good.
Very impressive. Yeah, good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Took her first steps.
Absolutely. I really resonate with like I think that you're like Violet would be number 1, but I think that like Violet choosing to kind of like quote unquote sacrifice herself, like I'll figure it out. Just like I got the two of you safe. That is her only goal is to protect them. So like,
right.
She also I feel like trusts that like they'll figure like we're gonna figure something out, but like we can't figure something out if all of us are unsafe.
We can't figure something out if we're dead.
So like, we'll figure it out. Like, we're doing what we can. And I think like that's really cool. But like I was just thinking when you had said like he stepped up, I was like, oh, you used the exact words. I was like, Klaus stepped up to the plate and said, well, no, like we need to go get Violet. Like we need to go find her. And like immediately like they didn't wallow at all. It was just immediate
right.
like, let's go.
And I think a lot of the times in these books, Violet has to be, the one to like make the decisions. She's the one being like, we gotta climb down this fucking elevator shaft, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But this is like really the first time that Klaus has had to make those like kind of tough decisions of like, here's what we're gonna do, here's our plan, we just gotta go for it. So
They floundered for a minute, which made sense. Like they processed it and then they said, "Okay, let's go."
but they rose to the occasion.
That's right. That's right. Which like they're learning, they're rubbing off of each other. I think it's great. And so I agree with you. Klaus,
Okay.
Violet for the car at the end in particular, and then Sunny because not for a lack of skills.
Right. And I think that's what the conclusion we've come to with a lot of these rankings is like, no one's in third place because they failed, but just because the other two were so incredible. A
Yeah.
lot of the time. Not always.
Just because someone does something doesn't mean that they're automatically like better. Like you could do a lot in the book, but still be like
Third place is not shabby. It's not too bad.
Wide Window. Klaus solving the riddle, very big, but he took a long time to do it. He's a little baby, like, but Sunny,
Baby.
well, Sunny almost killed the bitch. Like, he would have.
Almost kill a bitch.
Sunny would. This could be great. Katie, I want to bring up all of your talking points here. I'll do the name illusions afterwards, or in just a second. But here we go.
We're doing chat stuff first.
Well, yeah, I want to like address Katie before I like make her wait a minute.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you love him, Uncle Monty. Uncle Monty is such a fun character and
Right.
the one true guardian,
Definitely the best guardian they've ever had.
hands down. But scales down. Slippery Slope is one of your favorites in the series, and Carnivorous Carnival is a close second. Ooh, I always felt like they were very related.
Well, yeah.
Like they're kind of always tied.
So I'll talk about this probably more next time when we talk about Carnivorous Carnival. But that was the only like copy of the only book that I owned before getting this box set was a copy of Carnivorous Carnival.
Oh, really?
So I'm very partial to it.
Interesting. That'll be fun. And then the starting to trust themselves more to just take action. Yeah, they're building that confidence.
I think it's also nice that now we don't have to be like, well, what if we should go talk to Mr. Poe? And it's like, we're skipping that step. No one's coming to help
We're
you.
saving
You gotta
paper.
help yourselves. Mm-hmm.
I think like they keep it as like, look, if we can get something to Mr. Poe, great, but like we're not stopping. We're not getting caught over it.
Right.
Like no one got time for that.
Not gonna bail us out of jail.
You right. Katie, can you pin your message that you just wrote? Fuck Poe, all my homies hate Poe, because that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Katie. Gosh. I'll give you guys a moment if you guys have any questions about the book at all. Like anything that you find interesting or want to hear us talk about when it comes to the book or what we talked about. You know, feel free to ask anything. There's no stupid questions. There's a lot of really cool name illusions in the book, so I kind of just went and copied them from the wiki. But with all of the patients, there was a lot of really interesting names, and like I knew that they were all stuff.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where if they give someone like a first and last name, I'm like, that's probably a reference to something.
Like somewhere in there's something good. I'm gonna find it. The 1308 reference, I was like, I wonder what that's a reference to, and there's 13 books in the series, book 8.
This is the 8th.
Yeah, which I'm like, ooh, how interesting if you didn't know that. Like, if you didn't know how many books there was going to end up being. And it's like a little giving it away. A Madame Bovary reference. Jonah Maple, who suffers from seasickness, is named after Father Maple, preacher known for sermonizing on the biblical tale of Jonah trapped in the whale and Moby Dick. Okay. Clarissa Dalloway is Mrs. Dalloway stares sadly out a window. Depression of essay in a room of one's own. Cynthia Vane of the Vane Sisters. Yeah.
Very cool.
There's some really interesting things. There's a Haruki Murakami, a Japanese writer and translator reference with a Mikhail Bulgakov. patient names, which I thought were cool. And yeah, there's just like there's stuff for that for every book, and like it's
Right.
cool that the wiki
There's
has it there. That
yeah. There's so much in every book.
like if you're a big literary person, like you probably get a lot of like fun content, like fun jokes. Like there's probably jokes that I wouldn't get, or like the like a lot of the sunny words. I'm like, whatever she's saying probably is really funny if you knew what that means without the explanation.
Right.
So yeah. Whew. But that's all I got. I think I'm healed up from this trip.
Mhm.
I think I'm
You're all. Did you get a kiss on your boo boo?
a little bit, yeah. It was nice. Um and like I don't know, like if I'm gonna get discharged, I think like next time I think we do this, I think we should go do something fun. It sucks being in the hospital all day.
Yeah. You know, I heard there's like a traveling circus thing and coming into town. Is that are you into those? Those kind of
No.
that kind of thing? No. Damn, me neither.
Well, I am. I actually have beef with like local carnival energy, if you want to hear
Yeah, tell me.
beef about it. So in particular, I have beef with a very specific Twitch streamer, Coco Pelli Kisses, who I dated for 4 years through high school. And it is important that I bring this up because I still
Yes.
am angry about this. Mm-hmm. You understand?
I need to write something down in my notes.
Of course, of course. Uh, there was a carnival that would kind of come to town like once or twice a year, and it was a really fun time. But like it comes to town every year, and when by the time I moved to I moved there and like we were dating, I was like, wow, that would be like a really fun time. Like even if you've been there a billion times, you're going with someone new. That's always a
Mm-hmm.
fun new experience. No, she threw a fit. She would never want to go because she had always gone. And so the year she decided she didn't want to go anymore was the year that like I wanted to go. And I
Damn.
just went, and I should have known it wasn't going to last, but you know, that's my mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You've grown. You were younger then.
I was younger then and I have grown. You are correct. Astute as always. I don't know how you stay so smart in these trying times,
I
but you
read.
do it well.
I read book. Read book.
Book. The answers were already written. You just have to read them.
You just gotta read the book.
You just read the book. It's simple as that. Hell yeah. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions or anything, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up book club. So, any closing remarks, thoughts on the book, overall rating of quality of book?
Uh, Book good. I think is like I said, I'm interested to see where it lands after we've read all the books. I don't think it's been my favorite that we've read so far, but again, I don't think that means it's bad. I just think that like there's been much more interesting and like important to the overall story books in this series.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's a real solid. It's a solid. It's a good. It is a good addition to the series. It is a very fun part to read, or rather, like very action heavy as it starts to set the
Right.
tone and pace of how the series is gonna go.
So much happens in this book.
And like it took place over the course of I think like 24 hours almost,
Like at
if that.
yeah. Very I would maybe argue like 48 hours, but
For yeah, okay, yeah, like within like 2 days at most.
2 days. It yeah, there's never any time to settle anymore.
And that's the big thing. They're gonna be tired. You right. Whew. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time for the Carnivorous
Same
Carnival.
Baudelaire time, same Baudelaire place.
Better ingredients. Papa
Better
Olaf's.
DiGiorno.
DiGiorno. Thank you.
Yep.